So imagine you're driving for Uber Eats and you just have a few seconds to decide if this order is worth it. So take a look here. Again, just a few seconds. Now I'm driving here in Pittsburgh today and I declined this for one specific reason. So whenever I'm looking at an order like this, I'm looking at positioning, where is it starting, where is the ending destination. Obviously our eyes draw to the pay. Firstly, really, how much am I getting paid for this order? I see that it's a stacked order, the number 2 indicating, of course, 2 orders here. But what else? Well, you might be able to do some quick mental math, the dollars to mile ratio. How much am I getting paid for the miles driven? So 1509 for 9.2 miles. What else? I actually declined this one because over all of that, it's really the dollars to time ratio, or just frankly, you can look at the time here. It's gonna take 73 minutes, that's the projection here, for 1509. And then on top of that, I gotta make 2 stops here because of that stacked order. We can see 4 dots here, so pick up 1, 2, drop off 1, 2. And the positioning, it's actually okay there, but for the time, not worth it. So I actually started my shift here in Pittsburgh with this order. So it's $9.03, a strong dollars to mile ratio at 2 miles, and the dollars to time ratio for about 20 minutes here. And what else? The positioning here, specifically to start, and I got this order that was pretty much within walking distance of my current location because I was staging, I was waiting in those power strips. Something that we talk about on the channel, those power strips, areas that are really dense with restaurants in your marketplace. So even if you're waiting at a power strip and you get an order that's just not worth it, as we just saw, well, I know I should get another order request pretty quickly, and I did. So I feel like for some reason I'm just quizzing you on this ride along here, but I want to show you one other thing here. So take a look at my next order. It's $22.64. So again, let's do that quick top-down analysis here of at least what I look at and kind of compare it with what you do here. But I'm looking at the pay, right? $22.64. That's pretty solid. I see that is a stacked order. So the number 2, of course, that's 2 assignments. And I'm actually not shown much else here. Now there is a bit of a hack here as far as the visuals of what you can see, or I guess you can't see right on this initial screen here. So I can't see the routes. But typically, if you close and then reopen your Uber Eats driver app, you can see that route just to make a smart decision. But we can see my countdown timer to make a decision is already halfway here. And I was finishing making this delivery and I got this stacked order here. So the number one thing that I would tell you, if you get these stacked orders, you can't see the entire route, you're not sure if you have enough time to close the app and then go back into it, it's market knowledge. So for instance, and this is actually something new here, let me know down below in the comments if you've been seeing this, but on stacked orders, I see both pickup locations. And it really wasn't like that last month, which is fantastic, I believe, for you and I as a driver, that I get all of that information. Okay, where are my pickups? So number 1, this Gabby at Jules. Well, I know there's only 2 locations here in Pittsburgh, so I can kind of get an idea there. And then this Subway location, and I know that that East Carson Street is in the south side. So I can start to kind of piece this together. So let's not forget that market knowledge, especially if you're new, if you just typically don't drive in that market segment. Try to eventually piece together kind of the areas and those hotspots in that marketplace, because for time-sensitive decisions like this, we can see it actually does help. And can I just make a point here? Can I have a quick timeout to tell you what happened on this order? And I feel like it's a frustration. It's on any food delivery app. But listen to this. So remember, I knew it was going to deliver, in or near the south side, and it did. But it really delivered kind of on a very tricky blind spot corner for, a residential home with next to 0 parking. For that, I would just take a second, especially if you're looking at the ending destination, whenever you start the delivery. So, you've made the pickup and you start the navigation. If you're unfamiliar with that ending destination and it looks like it's going to finish on an extremely busy road, try to maybe, number 1, Google Maps that location and say, okay, where am I going to strategically pull off and park to make this delivery? And then number 2, I just want to tell you this because it really does relate to safety. And let's say you didn't do the research ahead of time, you didn't look up Google Maps ahead of time to see where you could park. So you're about to make the delivery and then you're kind of surprised with the house or whatever that there's really no safe place to park. I would pass it. That's my tip to you. I would pass it, or again, ideally you want to do the research ahead of time. But if there's no safe place to park, in this case, it was going up a hill or whatever it was, and there's no side area, right, or sidewalk or whatever it's called, no shoulder to park on, I would just keep going. I would keep going. I would turn down the next street. I've done that. I've simply walked back. Or if you come back down the other direction, if there's parking on the other side, you can do that. But yeah, you're making a delivery. It's not worth it. Don't just slam on the brakes. Don't just park and have a really blind spot for everyone else. It's not worth it. Take another half second. Take another few seconds and find a place to safely park. And honestly, you're going to be a lot less stressed out knowing that your vehicle is just impeding traffic, etc. Okay, take a look at this one. This is actually kind of behind me, which is another task in and of itself here. So Pizza Fiesta, 1158 for just 2.9 miles. Now, if you're not familiar with Pittsburgh, this is downtown. Not my favorite, but that dollars to mile ratio, I'm definitely accepting this. And then another point about parking, because this delivery was just as relevant when it comes to parking as the last delivery. Hey, quick question. I'm editing this video, and this pizza delivery on both Uber Eats Nav and Google Maps Nav, they actually had me arrive for the pickup about a block away from the actual destination. So I had to walk there, I mean, not far, right? But I had to walk to this Pizza Fiesta and then, back to my vehicle, which is another fantastic reason that I have that pizza bag as shown here on my YouTube stories. You can check that out on mobile. But if I didn't have that bag, firstly, could you imagine me trying to balance everything back to my vehicle? But have you ever had that? The arrival destination is that kind of off. So it's downtown. And I knew, again, looking ahead where I'm going to be delivering to. Actually, I didn't even look on Google Maps. I could just see ahead of me as I was approaching the intersection that where I was delivering to, it was a large apartment building, there was no parking. So what did I do? I found a safe parking spot before I got to that intersection just across the street. So I missed the next order request, but it was a nice positioning order. And I say a positioning order because it took me out of downtown and it brought me back into the Oakland, really central Pittsburgh area. So I like this one. Now here's one that I definitely declined. I would hope that you decline this one as well. But Vacelli's Pizza, it's just $3.50. And basically that's a zero tip order because this is really the minimum payout on base pay, at least here in Pittsburgh, that you're gonna see. So it's $3.50, and again, I'm assuming and most likely there is zero tip on this as well. Plus the time, even though it's 14 minutes here, I'm declining all the time. And then lastly, another positioning order here, this one for Panera for $11.57, a decent dollars to mile ratio here, 4.6 miles, but I liked the ending destination. That's where I wanted to head anyway. So declining a few orders, getting pulled into downtown, having a positioning order, and then having another positioning order for the final order here. So how was this shift with that driving, maybe a little bit more driving? How are the numbers? So today's afternoon shift here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was from 2 p.m. until 4:45 p.m. The total gross revenue with everything was $65.43. A hair under my goal of $25 an hour, and really my goal this year for you as well. A little bit under that, $23.79 earned per hour. During this shift, I completed 6 deliveries, did receive 6 tips as well with an average tip, a little bit actually above average, $5.90. Actually, let me know down below in the comments, what's kind of the average tip that you receive on any food delivery app? Typically, I would say between $3 to $5 on average. During this shift, I drove 30.2 miles for a payout per mile of $2.17. And this gets me a tax deduction of $16.91. So really just a minimal amount of snags, I think, on this shift. A little bit of traffic, we had that downtown order, a little bit more driving, but generally pretty good for an afternoon shift. So what, about $24 an hour. Let me know, have you been hitting that lower or higher on your food apps as well? Let us know down below. And if you got value in this video, definitely drop me a like. And you can also click or tap screen here for my newest video, as well as a video recommended for you, and I'll see you in the next one.